Hello and welcome to another Mr. Mashup video. Today we'll be talking about the evolution of live-action Incredible Hulk. So a little backstory before that. We know that the Incredible Hulk is the alter ego of Dr. Bruce Banner, a genius scientist who, following his exposure to gamma radiation, gained the ability to transform into the Incredible Hulk. Okay, so first we'll lay out a few images of different versions of the Incredible Hulk that have been featured throughout film and TV shows from the 70s all the way to the current version. So we start with the first version. This is the Incredible Hulk that appeared in the 1970s to the 1980s. So this version was featured in a TV series called The Incredible Hulk, as well as 3 other TV movies that came afterwards. An interesting point to make here is that the person who transforms into the Incredible Hulk is named Dr. David Banner instead of Bruce Banner. He is played by Bill Bixby, while the Incredible Hulk was played by Lou Ferrigno. So this was before the time of CGI, so they had Lou Ferrigno in green paint, who also wore a wig and fake eyebrows to transform himself into the Incredible Hulk. Okay, so that was the first version of live-action Incredible Hulk. So we go to the second one, the Hulk movie that came out in 2003, directed by Ang Lee. So this version is the first computer-generated Hulk. Bruce Banner was played by Eric Banner. It's funny how they both have surnames that are close to each other. So this Hulk was overly saturated. He seemed really green and had the ability to grow larger the angrier he gets, reaching a whopping 15 feet height. So we are done with the 2003 Hulk. Next we'll be going into the Marvel Cinematic Universe Hulk. So the first MCU Hulk was featured in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Bruce Banner was played by Edward Norton. So this version of Hulk was a bit different. He's actually my favorite version. He had ropey striated muscles, he was really ripped, he had this really mean look, but his hair was actually rather nice. This is actually my favorite version, although some people don't like this one. So for the following MCU films, Marvel decided to switch the actor playing Bruce Banner. So in the Incredible Hulk was also changed in appearance. The actor playing Bruce Banner was Mark Ruffalo, and is still Mark Ruffalo right now. He's still portraying the Incredible Hulk. So the CGI Hulk here was actually modeled after Mark Ruffalo. This is actually the first time where the Hulk and Bruce Banner is actually played by the same actor. Next we'll be looking at some other different versions of the MCU Hulk played by Mark Ruffalo. So the Hulk that was featured in Thor Ragnarok in the 2017 film was the same Hulk that we saw in the previous 2 films, but we see that he had a haircut, and this time he's actually wearing some gladiator attire during his fights at Sakaar. So afterwards we'll continue with some other versions of the MCU Hulk. So the Hulk continued to be featured in Avengers Infinity War and then Avengers Endgame afterwards, with some minor changes in his appearance. In 2018 we see a continuation of the close cropped hairstyle Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. We don't actually get to see Hulk much in this film since his ass was kicked early on by Thanos, and then he refused to come out even after Bruce Banner called him many times. It is said that the reason for this is that he felt like he was always being used by Bruce Banner for fights. So he was kind of butthurt by his alter ego. So next we'll talk about the latest version of Hulk that we see on screen. So this is the Avengers Endgame Hulk, also known as Professor Hulk. So Bruce Banner decided to merge himself with the Incredible Hulk instead of treating him like a disease, he started to treat the Hulk like a part of himself. So they are kind of permanently merged together, the Hulk and Bruce Banner. We get the strength of the Incredible Hulk as well as the intellect of Bruce Banner. We also get to see Hulk wearing a shirt for the first time, including the quantum suit that he wore during their time travel adventures. So this is actually a really powerful Hulk, and he's actually the only Avenger capable of doing the snap without killing himself. Although he did end up with a severely injured right arm following the snap. So there we have it, all the different versions of the Incredible Hulk from the 1970s all the way to the latest Avengers Endgame version. So as a bonus feature, I would like to introduce some other versions of the Incredible Hulk that have appeared in comics and also appeared in some animated shows, but haven't actually made it to the big screen yet, haven't actually made it to the live action movies. First, we've got Doc Green. So similar to Professor Hulk in terms of intelligence, this personality came into being after Bruce Banner's exposure to the Extremis virus. However, Doc Green is a new personality altogether. He's not Incredible Hulk, nor he is Bruce Banner. Next, we've got Joe Fixit, or the Grey Hulk. So he's a gangster version of the Hulk who appears only at nights. He's dressed in tailor suits and works as an enforcer at Las Vegas. Next, we've got Maestro. So he's a Hulk from an alternate future where most of the heroes have died from nuclear devastation, but the Hulk in turn was powered up from the nuclear fallout. He became a ruthless ruler of the post-apocalyptic world at that time. Next, we'll talk about some female versions of the Hulk, or She-Hulk, that have appeared in the comics and animated TV shows. First, we've got Jennifer Walters, the original She-Hulk. So when Jennifer was dying, she was saved by a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner, making her gain some of those Hulk powers. She actually maintains her Hulk form most of the time instead of switching back and forth like her cousin. Next, we've got Betty Ross, also known as the Red She-Hulk. So she is Bruce's ex-girlfriend, who, similar to her father Thunderbolt Ross, ends up as a Red Hulk. This was following a procedure performed by the leader after Betty ended up in a catatonic state. Next, we've got Lyra, also known as the Savage She-Hulk. So she's from an alternate future, and she's the daughter of the Incredible Hulk and Thundra. She actually traveled back in time to the present and ended up staying in this timeline. She actually gets stronger the calmer she is instead of when she's angry. Next, we'll just talk about some other non-Bruce Banner versions of the Hulk. First, we've got Amadeus Cho. So Amadeus Cho is a young genius who saved Bruce Banner by absorbing the Hulk radiation into himself, thereby transforming himself into the new totally awesome Hulk. Amadeus Cho eventually lost some of his Hulk powers, changing into a Hulk form that more resembles a taller version of himself, and calling himself Brawn. Next, we've got Thunderbolt Ross, also known as the Red Hulk. The longtime arch enemy of the Incredible Hulk eventually turned himself into a Hulk with an additional power. He could actually absorb energy from other people. Next, we've got Scar, or the son of the Incredible Hulk. So in the events of Planet Hulk, the Hulk slowly conquered the planet, even eventually marrying one of the natives, and ended up fathering two sons. One of his sons, Scar, had much of the same powers as his father, as well as some other special abilities inherited from his mother. So that's the end of our video. Make sure you comment on which version of the Hulk is your favorite. See you next time.